in a interesting cycle within the multifamily real estate world, right? Where, if you bought a deal in 2018, 19, you looked like a genius because you sold it in 2020 or 2021, doubled or tripled your returns in, a few short years. And so to your point, you're making money, but you don't know why, right? The market is just going up and to the right. And then you bought something in, 2021 or 2022, and then interest rates go up, and now you're losing money and you don't know why, or you do because of interest rates and all of that. So I think we're kind of in this, like, we've lost money, we don't know why. Now we need to figure out, okay, how do we go and partner with the people that have gone through those cycles and kind of had that, hit those bumps in the road, but then have kind of kept going. So obviously you started in the market, and I don't know anything about options trading. So I don't even want to dig into that, because I'm sure it's a bigger conversation than, 15-20 minute podcast. But at what point did you start, like, getting into like real estate or anything like that? And obviously you were living in the US and now you're in Jerusalem. So I'm kind of curious how that transition worked and all of that.
Yeah, so I actually started so so once that portfolio, the first portfolio I was running kind of failed, I had to go out and get a job.
Okay.
And so I worked for a number of years in the real estate business here in Israel, actually. I was a mortgage broker here in Israel.
Hmm.
And in the course of doing that, I came across a lot of people who had some cash but couldn't afford to buy. Mortgages here are much tighter than the US. You have to come up with 30% down. You can't finance your closing costs. And income here relative to the cost of housing is certainly back then, and today's even worse, is it's pitiful. So, I mean, you could use, I think that, I forget the numbers, but the statistic already goes back several years, but back then it was like you need to, like in the US, to buy the average house, you need like 2 years of average salary to buy your average house. And in Israel, it was like 12 years.
Oh, geez.
So it was, yeah, so it was really hard to buy here, and it's only gotten worse. So I would come across people who would have 50, 100, $200,000, and they just couldn't qualify for a mortgage. They couldn't buy anything, and they were just sitting on their cash. So again, I had been investing, and my mentality, it all goes back to the mentality. I can't stress
Mhm.
this enough, that it's not so much about, knowing what to invest in or finding the right people to. That's all important, obviously, the details, that's how you make your money. But as one of my teachers once said, the details are what separates the men from the boys. Very important, but the mentality was always, there is opportunity here. There are ways to make money, and these people are kind of locked into not thinking they can do anything with their money.
Yeah.
So I set out at that time to help these people find opportunities to invest in it. I didn't want to do anything in the market yet. I was still going through my learning process and proving myself in that area. Not to mention, it's much more esoteric, as you said. One of the earliest lessons I learned when I started learning how to trade stocks was, and invest really in the stock market, is you have to understand where your value is coming from. This is a very important principle in investing. You can't always come true. For example, if you invest in with like a hedge fund, it's going to be very hard for most people to understand the strategies there.
Yeah.
But and that does create a challenge. I'm not going to deny that fact. But certainly one of what's why I like real estate is you have to know where your value is coming from. I mean, why did the 2009 crash happen? People were trading derivatives on derivatives of mortgage products, and nobody, you lost track of who the underlying borrower was, and you didn't realize
Right.
it was all subprime. People lost track of where the value is coming from, and therefore the valuations lost touch with reality. What I liked about real estate, and I like about real estate is, I mean, yeah, you got to be good to operate a deal. Not anybody can operate a deal. There are a lot of details in the deal, and you got to really be on top of it, and it's complicated. But at the end of the day, you own either a piece of land or a building, and you collect rent, and the rent determines the value of the building. It determines how much cash you get out of the building every month, quarter, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's a very simple business model to understand, which is why, if you're going to follow that rule of understanding, where your money's coming from, real estate's a very appropriate investment for a lot of people.